We all set?
Like recording, are we ready?
I think so. Yeah. Isn't
Good start.
it? Yeah.
Oh, this means we have to have interphone.
I didn't check sound, hang on, because normally it's very loud. Recording and talking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you didn't actually say machete at this.
Nancy, can you? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay. We'll try again. She didn't talk, but it's like what it did.
All right. Well, since we're up and recording, I think we can call this meeting of the Historical Commission for May in order. As far as preliminary matters go, we can start with the roll call.
Larry Dorsey,
Here.
Karen Woligorsky, here, Dalton Willett,
Here.
Mary Cartwright, here, Errol Woligorsky,
Here.
Scott Phillips,
Here.
Maureen Hope.
Here.
And we don't have Joe Roberts today, Susan Stanish. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Serbu.
Here.
Excellent. Next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Excellent. Motion by Karen, second by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, agenda passes. Next, we can move on to public comment. Individuals are welcome to make public comment for 5 minutes. Any public comment?
We have none online.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, of course. Please just state your full name for the record.
My name is Nancy. Actually, I met you at the house. Thank you for.
Hi.
Hi.
I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. I have been wanting to do work for the Historical Commission for a long time. And I had expressed interest quite a long time ago, but I sadly, there wasn't, a follow-up. So.
And your name?
I'm so sorry. I'm Nancy Thomas. I'm at 405 South First Avenue. I'm in Rogers Farm, but I lived in Rock Creek for many years. And so when I lived in Wisconsin, I was on their historical commission and I'm in their not the committee, but I was a volunteer and I really loved it. So we did a lot of walks in community walks, historic community walks, and there are a lot of them in Milwaukee. So I enjoy doing those kinds of things. So if there's, if you are having things on the addendum, I would love to participate in, anything related to that.
Did you have to leave early today?
I talked to you. Yes, no, I don't. This goes till noon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I was saying that, if you
Yeah.
had to, anytime you need to leave, just feel free to just leave.
Oh, thank you.
But stick around, please.
Yeah, no, are you trying to get rid of me already? I
No,
waited
I'm
years
not.
to do this. No. No, that's fine. And I will probably have to leave about 1:45.
Okay.
So, but otherwise I'm planted. So
Thank you
thank
very
you for
much.
giving me the time.
Thank you.
We can probably go around and introduce ourselves here
Yeah.
whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we can absolutely offer quick, brief introductions about ourselves and the Historic Commission. My name is Dalton Willett. I'm the co-chair.
Larry Dorsey, the co-chair, another co-chair, two co equals one.
Those two co-chairs.
That's right.
I'm Susan Stanish. I'm the co-secretary.
There you go.
Unofficially.
Jennifer, staff liaison.
And Karen Woligorsky, vice chair.
Mary Cartwright, hi.
I'm Maureen Hogue, a freelance writer and editor based in Louisville. I'm a direct descendant of the Higgs from the Austries. That's why I serve on the commission. This is Paul Gibbs, who is her voice.
Yeah.
I'm Mayor Pro Tem Jason Serbu. I'm the alternate to Councilmember Craig Kraft, who is the council member appointed to this.
And I'm Wally. We've met before.
Scott Phillips, Plain Commissioner, local resident.
Wait, plain commissioner?
Yeah, plain, simple, no titles.
Oh, I thought you meant like airplane.
He's our chief pilot.
I got it.
Thank you very much, everyone. And no public comment online. All right. So we were supposed to have a guest, Lori Rugenstein of the Breathing Healing Bus. It doesn't appear that she's here. Oh, yeah. Mechanic.
Yes, I went to the wrong.
Oh.
I went to the town hall and they said,
Not there.
to get her.
Thank you very much. Hi, Lori. I'm Dalton.
You're Dalton. Good to
Yes.
meet you.
Great to
Well, I'm
meet you.
glad I found it.
Oh, good. We actually were just about to start the agenda item, discussing the healing bus. If you would like to just offer a couple of details, if that's all right.
So, I wonder if I should.
Yeah, you're welcome to sit.
Yeah.
Sit up there so people can
Yes, sure.
stand or whatever.
You can pull up a chair for
Yeah.
you.
Chair.
Thank you. You guys are very accommodating.
Oh, sorry.
So I don't know how much you know, if anything, at this point. So
Go ahead and start from the beginning. Introduce yourself.
yeah, so my name's Laurie Rugenstein. I'm also a member of Right Relationship Boulder, which is kind of how I got connected with Dalton. And the way that I'm connected with this project, a year ago, Control Group did an immersive performance where we took this bus to various locations around the Denver area. One of the locations we went to was Fort Chambers here. So locations where things happened that were that led up to Sand Creek, that allowed Sand Creek to happen. So we went to the Cheyenne encampment in Denver. We went to the place where gold was discovered in South Denver. We went to the location of Camp Well. We went to the location on 16th Street where the triumphant parade was held when they came back from slaughtering everybody. And then we went to the place where Silas Soul was murdered. So the bus traveled around, and while the bus was traveling between different locations, meditations were played that were created by Cinnamon Schultz first, who is Northern Cheyenne, and she is a descendant of people who were present at the time of the massacre. The other Native person who was involved in the project at this point was Bill Tallbull, who was also a descendant. Anyway, it seemed that people got a lot from attending this performance, and Control Group felt that it would be good to take the bus and turn it into a mobile teaching exhibit. So that's where we are right now, and that's what I contacted Dalton about. The bus is not quite ready to go yet. It was supposed to be ready by June 1st, but it'll probably be a little later than that. And I think you were thinking of the fall, which would probably be better anyway. The bus is also something that is going to be taken around to various locations during the 250, 150 celebration in 2026 to show the other side of the story, like what happened to the Native people to allow Colorado to become a state. And the second part of that is, why is there really essentially no Native presence here in the Front Range and eastern Colorado? I can read you a little bit about the bus, that might help. This says it better than I can probably. The immersive experience was created in a renovated school bus that channels a 3-year process of community engagement and creative work, including the performance last year. purpose is to address the massacre within the context of the 500-year history of genocide, displacement, and oppression of Native people. That was crucial in the formation of the state of Colorado. The experience offered on the bus combines education, artistry, embodied somatic practice, and a place for healing and reparations. So the bus will be divided into 4 sections. The first section deals with the history, telling the history. The second section looks at what's happening for Native people here today. The third section will be in the back of the bus, and that will be a place for healing. There will be meditations that were created by Cinnamon, who did the meditations for our show to help people connect. She's also a somatic practitioner, so connecting on it. The intention of these meditation is to help people feel it. Her mantra is, you have to feel it to heal it. And then there will be a place where people can make reparations if they wish to do that. Do you people know about the trek report that the people of the Sacred Land did? This just came out last fall, but it's the Truth Restoration Education Commission. That was developed, it's like a 600-page document that was developed by people of the Sacred Land. And some of that information will be available on the bus just to show in facts and figures what has been lost. And there will also be stations where obviously there'll be multiple people going through the bus at once. So the meditations will be listened to by headphones, and there'll also be stations where people can see videos that are people, descendants of the survivors, speaking about the history and what they've experienced since then. So the bus is set up on the outside. It says it's painted beautifully. A man called Diego did the painting on the outside. It says genocide, denial feeds genocide. And then on the other side is a picture of the land at Sand Creek, a beautiful picture, beautifully painted. It says stop denying, start healing. And that's the intention of the bus, is for healing. We call it the healing bus. When people arrive at the bus, there will be 2 people there who will describe how to go through the bus with the educational intent. Is one of them will be a white man, one of them will be a Native woman. They'll have a little zine that they hand out that has lots of information in it. And then people will take the journey through the bus. So I'm excited that this is something that's continuing, because the show that we did last year felt like it impacted so many people, and people, including me, learned a lot about what had happened here. You are the first group that I've met with. So I'm trying it out on you, and probably what would be really helpful for me is if you have questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us. We really appreciate it. For some additional context, we're looking at having Right Relations basically present for our fall program, which would encompass the history of tribes in Boulder County and the forts here. I saw a presentation from Right Relations a couple of months back and was really impressed with everything.
So what presentation was that?
It was for the Boulder County Democratic Party.
Okay, yeah, I was one of the presenters there.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful presentation. And then we had Paula, who lives in Louisville, come and give some details about it.
Right.
And we decided after some discussions, we thought this could make a very fascinating fall program. And then as we started getting in contact again with Right Relations, we learned about the Healing Bus, and we thought as opposed to just having the presentation in the evening, usually 6 or 7 p.m., we could potentially have the healing bus out earlier in the day to make it a bit more of an all-day event, so then people could come potentially by town hall or the community center and experience the healing bus as well. I would love to know, just from kind of a practical standpoint, when you're looking at different venues potentially for the healing bus, how many hours do you anticipate
Yeah, I
having
can-
there?
I
Having
can
bus
go
there?
over all of that with you. So, the hours can vary. The minimum would probably be 5 hours.
Okay.
And, I got the financial breakdown here from Patrick, who's there. So one thing that we're hoping to do is when we, take the bus to a white audience to get funding there that helps us take it to a native audience for no charge.
Mhm.
And it obviously costs something to do all this. So the financial breakdown is, the booking, what he's calling the booking base is $400, and that would go to the work that's being done on the bus right now, all the artistic work and the history that's being researched and the zine that's being put together, all of that. The next is the planning base, and that has to do with actually bringing the bus. And that also is $400. The next is the travel expense, and that's $6 a mile, and it looks like it would be 45 miles round trip to here from where the bus is housed. And the next, for being open for 5 hours, it would be $475. And that would pay for the people who are staffing the bus. So I added up all of those things for what it would cost to bring it here for 5 hours, and that would come to $1,545.
Perfect, thank you.
Is
Yeah,
that-
that was gonna be my
is that-
next question.
Yeah.
Yes, that helps tremendously too,
Yeah.
so we can have a cost breakdown, because we do have our historical commission budget. One of the things that we need to do with the budget is spend it before the end of the year.
Gotcha.
And we can look at a budget breakdown. I'm sure we'd be able to do that at our next meeting, just to kind of see where we are from a budgeting perspective. And after further discussions, I think we've decided to have the healing bus. We could either use kind of some funds from our own budget, or if we needed to make up funds somehow, I'm sure we could try to reach out to the town potentially about making up a difference there if this was a project that we were interested in and having the bus there.
And, if you had it here for 5 hours, a number of people could experience it in that length of time, because obviously there's a limit to how many people can be on it at
Mhm.
once.
Yeah, and I know we were thinking having it kind of right before the right relationship presentation would be good again, so that
Yeah,
if people aren't aware of maybe the evening presentation, they can learn about it,
Yeah.
going to the healing bus, and we can promote it using the town social media, since we have a decent amount of headway on this too, to kind of get the word out there.
Right, and I think it would be a wonderful setup for the Fort Chambers presentation that we do, because it would help put Fort Chambers in that larger context.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions from other commissioners?
Not a question. I just think this is really an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, I have to say that I've been really excited by it since I first got involved with it, and it's just so impactful to bring things to that somatic level where people really embody it instead of just getting it intellectually.
Yes, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of areas that we excel at as far as a historical commission in documenting and detailing mining history, the agricultural history, but being able to branch out and have indigenous history too, I think would be an excellent opportunity for Superior as a town and for our work as a historical commission.
And hopefully you could draw people from the surrounding area too.
Absolutely. yeah, get people from Broomfield, Louisville to
Yeah,
come and attend as well.
exactly.
Mhm. Well, any other questions for us, actually?
I don't think so. We have each other's contact
Yeah.
information and we can take it from here.
Perfect,
And please feel free to get in touch with any further questions that come up.
absolutely. Well, we'll be sure to have this as a discussion item on our next meeting too. We'll also have discussions kind of about a budgetary breakdown too. And I'll be sure to keep you in the loop with everything as well.
And do you want me to give you the breakdown that I could put that in writing?
That would be great if you
Yeah,
could send an email.
I'll do
Yeah, and then
that.
I can
Yeah.
share this with everyone
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it's just my little scribbling.
Yes.
notes.
No, that'd be fantastic. And if you have any other kind of written materials too that you want me to.
But the
to
main
send,
thing is that email that I sent you, that
Okay,
has pretty
perfect.
much all of the information.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
you're obviously welcome to stay.
Well, I should probably get that, but,
I
and
completely
thank you for
understand.
putting up with my late arrival and my bumbling around. So,
Really appreciate it.
well, thank you all so much. And I really appreciate that you're interested in supporting the native history of this place.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good one.
You know how to work this.
You need to prop the door a bit, Nancy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought of that.
Okay.
That's.
The kids are engineers.
All right. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would love to discuss that more, especially at length at our next meeting too. We can go over where we are budgeting wise too. So that was good to get some of those figures.
It'll be perfect timing because I'll be doing the second quarter budget report.
Excellent. With that, I think we can jump into updates. And the first update is actually related to correspondence completed and required.
Okay, well, completed or required, you'll all have to let me know. Completed, I sent a thank you to Mrs. Garner for her donations for chamber pot and the lovely framed photo.
Can I say, she sent me a photo of your thank you and she was just so thrilled. And she has donated to other museums. Has not gotten such a nice note, so thank you.
I get that reaction a lot.
Yeah,
And people say, I didn't even expect
Yeah.
that, let alone a nice one like
she
like
said,
you, right?
yeah, she sent me a picture. Oh my goodness.
We also sent one to Lydia's husband Nathan, because he was I called him a mechanical genius, I think, in my note, who put together that amazing, complicated, heavy hand truck.
Oh.
And one to Kate Norris for the fire damaged jewelry that she donated to.
Okay.
I ordered another one,
Thank
Mary,
you.
a lighter version. JG went a little crazy on that, sorry. Little heavy duty.
All right. And that's it?
That's what's been done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's been done. Anything else I need to do? And this is an aside. My handwriting is shaky with my tremor in my left hand. But I love thinking of things and writing the notes. So should I continue with the shaky thing that people think, oh, she must be 95? Or does someone else want to take over the thank yous? And either one's fine. That was one of my others on my list today. So,
Do you enjoy doing
yeah.
I don't continue with shaky handwriting. I have shaky handwriters in my family. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're not even as bad as them.
We haven't seen it.
You should continue, Mary.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You bet.
Because we do get some really special things donated.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Excellent.
And anything else that that we need? I have I'll say during donations that something else that came through 2 days ago that I accepted, but
We have some coming up, but we don't have them yet. so,
Okay, so you'll let me know.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Next item then is Marshall Fire Remembrance. We haven't had a meeting recently, but we had positive discussions at the last meeting about the RFQ.
It's kind of at the staff level now.
Yeah, so,
So Jordan and I are still, Jordan has not been able to get it posted yet because she's managing other major town projects at the moment, but she's hoping to have it posted by the end of the month, and she's also sort of taking the language and retrofitting it into her typical format.
okay,
So it's,
perfect.
and it'll probably be posted for at least a month, if not two.
Yeah,
So we may not have a meeting for a little while.
okay, excellent. Thank you, JG. Next is the RFI log and mass media list.
Oh, yes, I distributed digitally to everyone. Does anyone have any updates for? And for the mass media list, I was wondering how we would categorize the videos we have on the historic walk. JG mentioned there was one done back in 2016 and 2023 and this year. So how shall we list them?
I can eventually get her a list of what videos we have that will be on the website and or the screens at the museum, but we do not have a completed list at this time. We still have videos in production as well.
Yeah, the historic walk videos in production.
And the cemetery one from last fall is still in
Okay.
production.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. I did too.
Also, 2016.
Oh, that takes a while, JG, like our educational program.
And I'm not sure what two thousand
This
sixteen
is
video he's
to get
referring
the
to,
full
but
video.
it's kind of here nor there. When we get a list, we'll have a spreadsheet with all the details, but I don't think it'll be anything super soon, but it is something that we do want to have. But that said, I do have, comms did recently
Then I'll
add,
put it on the pending side.
Yeah.
JG.
so comms did add a section on the arts and history page that has video links, one for arts, one for historical. So there are a few there and it takes you to YouTube. So that's just sort of the beginning. It's not a list, but it's just a link section to take people to, on the arts and history page.
Of the website.
Yeah, so it's not a list, but I think we should work on that. I agree with her. But at the moment, we just have this section that just directs people to YouTube for some videos that we currently have.
This chair, I was fine.
Oh, you're so sweet. No, I'm good. It's fine.
That's it.
All right.
I'm sure.
So next item then is related to donors, the Lions Club and any other recent donations. JG, do we want to talk about the screens and the updates there? Or
We could back up and talk about the Lions Club as far as their more recent donation of the trees.
Mhm.
I'm still working with Lions Club. It's looking like we're potentially gonna be getting 6 trees in Asti Park. And so the trees would come from them, and then out of the arts and history budget, I would figure out some sort of signage to acknowledge the donation. Because, and I think it would be really, working with Tyler in Parks, we would plant them in such a way that it looks intentional and not just park trees, you know, like something creative, so that, and then maybe eventually another bench or something, just a nice little treed area. So that's coming, and then as far as the screens, Daryl has been working on them. She was actually planning on being here today, but we have other guest speakers and a very full agenda, and so she will be sharing kind of a status summary with me very, very soon. But she will be here in June for a demo and, you know, but I think she's pretty much almost done.
Fantastic. Thank you, JG. Appreciate that. And then any other recent donations?
As I mentioned, I accepted, someone that contacted us some months ago, and we finally got back together. A butter worker, which is like so big and a very interesting piece, which will go with our cream separator, ice cream, butter churn, blah, 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 our dairy corner. She also donated an ice cream maker. I thought we could have one at both facilities if we wanted, and a couple of other things, but one is a stand about so tall, steel, and 3 shoe lasts, because our other shoe lasts melted in the fire.
What's a shoe last?
It's a little thing about, well, she has a baby one, and it's what shoemakers, cobblers would use to support as they stitch the leather and whatever to make shoes. So,
Are those things that go inside the shoe to keep its shape?
well, this is no more for the manufacture of the shoes.
Cobbling.
Yeah, cobbling. They have a centenary farm up near Eaton, her family, that these things came from originally. So. But on that note, I need help from somebody to help me carry that butter worker down into the Asti basement. It's a little heavy for me to carry it down the flight of stairs for me, so.
I bet that could be arranged.
Right. Any rest are manageable. Then I see other things here like Huffner Crane.
Yeah,
And,
That's Larry's topic.
okay,
he's a chewer.
You can weigh in on this one, Larry.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I was approached by Sue Kuffner about the property we always call Danny's Corner there. And looks like they're in the process of closing the sale of that property, and the crane is on the property. And of course, they'd like to have it off the property, and have offered it to the town to donate it to the town. And via the historical commission. And I went over and kind of stepped it off. Would take about a 15 by 20 pad to be on, I think, or space. And of course, there's all kinds of potential there, both historic and then will be the right word, potential dangers of having something like that the kids might like to crawl on. And of course, the ultimate thing is, where would it be located if it were accepted? So you're now informed on the offer. We could have a crane in our historic collection.
Or there's another thing though, if I could mention this, CAPS on the other side. Last year, they were doing an art walk as they were, designating their 5-mile stretch of what they call the artery, that they will eventually be placing art all through town. And they were really excited about that crane last year. And from their perspective, if it was something that became a piece of public art, of course, they would be interested in a more artistic approach, you know, to it, probably having it cleaned up, painted. And maybe even added to and put in a location where, like Larry is stating, that couldn't be climbed on. Or something like that, but they were sort of excited to sort of have it kind of serve as both a historical piece and a public art piece. So it's actually on their agenda as well for their meeting next week.
Well, it's vintage
Yeah.
and how does it fit our themes anyway? It doesn't seem to fit our themes.
Provenance.
I think that's what the discussion is good.
Yeah, I would say it was probably from maybe even the 1920s. But I'd say safely it's from the 1930s.
I would say one of the next issues, what is it gonna cost to have it moved?
Yeah.
That's gonna
That's
be
a
a
big
huge
issue.
undertaking. Because they're gonna have to do something with that boom, they can't do it that way, and there's no way they can start it, so I don't know if they'd have to partially disassemble it or how they would handle that, but there's a lot involved just to move it.
It's not a mine works crane, it's a road works in
Right.
construction excavation type crane, right?
Does
I'm sorry.
CAPS have more money? Cause do they still have some of that extra
They
thing
have
they
a
got after the fire?
significant public art budget.
Right, that might be a nice solution.
I was gonna say, yeah, if they really want it, like, by all means, let them have it, I'm serious.
still
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I think they may have a better place for it than we do. I don't think we
And
have
a better
an
use.
appropriate place for it, but maybe the art center will do that.
Well, just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's a relic for the historical.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
has it been used to create something of historical significance? Did it, was it used on one of the mines? Was it used on any
It
infrastructure?
doesn't fit our themes.
Doesn't exactly.
As far as we know.
Yeah,
So
so,
it have the context.
yeah, so forgiving for making this sound the way it's going to sound, but are we trying to take on something that's gonna benefit the town, or are we trying to take out someone's rubbish?
Exactly, bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm of the mindset, I think it'd be cool. I like the idea if there weren't any costs associated with it and we immediately had some place to locate it. But we do have to think about, there are costs associated with it and we don't have, at least from a historic perspective, an ideal spot for it, just because it's not something like a butter churn that we can move around very easily. I think if CAPS is interested in it, we could help and support them in that endeavor. But I'd be more interested in maybe delegating that to them.
Okay.
Yeah, and also it's gonna depend on the time factor, how soon they have to have that out of there.
And she said they're looking at end of June.
Wow. see,
And
that's-
of course, there's the process, it'll have to go through the town council too.
Right.
Obviously, to accept something like that, but financing, although I know that we've been able to have a mover I'm aware of over in Brighton, who has donated his services in the past, but and does so down at the Railroad Museum too. But so it's move it, well,
Yeah, it's complicated.
you know as much as I do. so.
I'm in favor of letting CAPS consider it.
I'll second that motion.
And I think if CAPS has questions or if they want some history or details about it, I'm sure we
Yeah.
could provide that. But yeah, I'm fine with CAPS kind of spearheading that.
Yeah, the donors are saying, you know, something that's been in the town for a long time.
Mhm.
It's back as far as some people can remember. And I don't know anything about its use.
Right. I would think that the historical support we would want to lend is more of that type of history rather than just saying what type of crane it was and how old it is.
Right.
It's like the Cuthbert connection and use connection.
Yeah.
And
we
the
could-
one to get a hold of that would probably know something about that would be Danny, and right now it's impossible to get a hold of him. I have no idea if he's still with his daughters or if he's in a home someplace. I've tried and tried and tried, and I can't get a hold of him.
Oh, and Suzanne was the person who called, goes by Sue, and her husband's Rick Kuffner. And they're the ones that moved down to Calhoun or someplace like that, east of Colorado Springs after they lost their their buildings in the fire, Marshall Fire.
But I think general kind of consensus, cats take the lead on this.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see what their conversation is too,
Yeah.
and there's no telling. And the timeline is extremely tight.
Mhm.
Extreme, yes.
Okay. Then the Lafayette Museum potential mine donation.
It's a map, never mind.
Yep. Map donation, map
The
donation
whole
of
mine is coming
mines.
to this. You thought the crane was there. Wait till you see.
You get some very cheap stocks there.
Yeah. Yes, I keep talking with Chelsea over at Lafayette and we keep saying, yes, let's do that. And then we don't seem to get around to it. So I think next week, I think there's 8 or 9 maps of mines that Lafayette would like to de-accession. And so I'll probably go over there next week and do that. And once I set up a time if anyone wants to go along, that's fine. In fact, I'd encourage somebody else too. Maybe Mary could meet us at the Lafayette Museum or something.
Depending on when you go and how we get it set up, I possibly could be interested.
Okay,
We don't have something else that we're into. You'd have to pick me up.
Oh, I thought we had already agreed to accept
you
it.
already own it, Wally, so.
Okay, I'll owe you more.
Okay, yeah, I think,
Don't strain your back.
I think they're open from Wednesday to Saturday, so it probably wouldn't be till Wednesday or Thursday. But I'll let you know.
And then the drum map.
Yeah, the donor of the drum map, Burton came over the other day and when we were open and was favorably impressed with the location that we proposed in the ASTI building for the drum map. Now, Drum was a fellow who did farm maps, town maps, mine maps, and so on.
Around 1908.
Yeah,
Sort of.
yeah, and chime in, Scott, if you want to add to some more of the provenance of the drum map. But there, this fellow's a map collector. Well, I guess Paul could chime in too.
They're in a blue with white line blueprint style usually.
Yeah,
Black and very well hand labeled with mine locations and names and such.
so we told him that we'd probably want to cycle it out occasionally, and so he was okay with that too. But he's we were looking at in the education room on the north wall. We've preserved a big space there, and the thing is 70 inches wide.
Oh, wow.
So it is,
Something.
and it doesn't weigh much though, so it just take probably some fairly simple hooks to secure it.
If it's, some of those were reprinted as ammonia prints, which means they'll fade big time if there's any sun.
Is there any way to stabilize that or put it behind the right kind of glass or anything?
Yeah, you can get UV protected glass or laminate. Well, you would want to do that. That's the best you could do.
Well, we did kick around the idea of having just even a plexiglass over it, and it would also just hang on the,
It
maybe
seems
it
it
was,
might deserve a decent case, and maybe if we have Paul look at it to determine maybe the style of.
Yeah, I mean, if it's depending on how they printed it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is, I mean, when this is months ago, this was mentioned and Katie at ArtSource said, oh, if you get one of those, you know, basically grab it.
Yeah, it
yeah.
might need acid stabilization too, depending on what it's put on.
Yeah,
So the case would be good. It would help temperature control and that kind of thing as well as bugs.
And dust.
Mm.
Yeah, if that's the case, we might be able to get Katie to do some of that for us, whatever it takes.
well, I think between Katie and Paul and Scott and Burton, we've got a good brain trust there that can figure out something to do, but of course that could involve purchasing or installing the plexiglass or UV glass or whatever. It's a lot, that's a big chunk.
Yeah. All right,
we will proceed on that.
and then, oh, yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Oh.
Karen.
Okay, I had one other thing on donations.
Mhm.
Monday night at the event up in Chautauqua, I was able to talk to Catherine Barth, and she got the dimensions of the school desk to me. And it appears like it's going to be the right size for our education room. It's
Great.
31 inches wide, no, excuse me, 30 inches wide, 31 inches high, and 21 inches wide. So it's basically 30 by 21 on the top.
Perfect.
So it's not real large, and it's in very good shape.
That's a teacher.
And so I would propose that we accept that from her.
Yes.
Yeah,
I told her we did not need any additional desks, because I think we already have more desks than we
Student
can
desks,
use.
yeah.
So, but the teacher's desk we could use to display some items in the education room, if everybody agrees on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, subject to looking at it, making, but I'm sure if it's coming from Catherine, it'll be in
I have a
very
picture,
good
but,
condition.
Talking about the room.
yeah, but it's in very good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we find out it really doesn't fit in there, then I'm sure, you know, we can probably get it back to her, but
We had a picture of it from a year or so ago too, so you've already seen this.
the picture isn't really good. I've got it on my phone here, but.
And we could always rearrange our little school corner, you know, our school wall, we, you know, and it's
Yeah.
flexible.
Maybe take it
So,
best down.
Given that it's
Yeah,
not
take
real
it.
wide, I mean, it's wide, but it's not real deep.
Mhm.
21 inches is not all that much.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
that's really
Great, thank
exciting.
you.
Okay,
Thanks, Karen. There's this farm
And then
pump
you
here
have the
too.
farm pump.
So we've had the farm pump offered to us, the outdoors hand pump.
Got
And
a
it's,
picture up, Wally, or Larry.
no, there it is. And it's very different than what we're used to. I
I'm
think it's
sorry,
very
there's things blocking
sophisticated.
it. There we go.
Okay. And then I thought we'd accepted one when Broomfield deaccessioned it, and come to find out, we didn't. I remember telling them we'd take it, remember where it was located in the room, but apparently we never consummated the deal, so Broomfield has another one that we could take as well, but it's a lot like that one. I don't think we want to. My opinion is we may not want two that look a lot alike, because this one's a lot more involved than the regular old just pump, you know, just a handle and the piston, and you pump it out of the ground. So this has got a bunch of other features.
What if there was a pump at both Asti and Grasso?
Yeah,
I think that'd be good.
what's the age of this one?
What?
What's the age of this one?
I don't have all of the details.
Is it Broomfield that's offered this?
No, this is a resident of a private
Oh, okay,
donation, somebody who's just had it in
okay.
their yard.
And the one at Broomfield, when they accessioned it, cataloged it, they put in some photos and some information out of the catalog. So back to Scott's question, I believe that was early 1900s. And the one over in Broomfield was actually connected to the bee farm, the honey farm over there. So,
I'd like to see the simpler kind by Asti, like we have. This one could be, on the Grasso property if we wanted it. But I'd like the simpler one by Asti that we all look at and we all recognize.
yes, I'd go along with what Mary just said. And I think we'd have to. I thought about putting one of them in the flower beds there, Grasso, but I think that's due for a significant landscaping job at Grasso. It's
I think
a
it's
sore need for that.
nice back by maybe the old house where it's with the historic building,
Okay.
Yeah,
especially if we lose access to more of the bungalow interior.
yeah.
And we
But
could have a small concrete pad for it and have it bolted down.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good because we had that incident with the little one we had over at Asti when one of the lawnmower guys hit the handle and broke it off, so. But this one, that'd be more obvious.
Now, which house are you talking about putting it by? The two-room house or the little one house? One room house?
Back with the farm buildings, but.
I don't know, it's just, you know, why it says.
Yes.
Can you believe that, Nancy?
No, I think his confession should be on the record.
It is, it's pretty funny.
Definitely leave it in.
Okay, so if that other is something that the group is wanting, then I can get back in touch with the gentleman and his
Yeah.
mother, and, because they offered to deliver it.
I'd recommend we take that one and not consider the Broomfield one.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, so not two, not one at each?
We want to kind of keep an eye out for this regular old simple one for Asti.
Oh, okay.
We could put that on our wish list, actually.
Mhm.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I will get with Rick.
All right,
All right, excellent.
funny man, made it through there.
So now we can jump into debriefing. So the May 3rd Open Museum Day and Historic Walk. I think that the Historic Walk in particular was a very great success. We had 39-40 people in attendance on the walk. It was a beautiful day out too. People were engaged, which was great. And we also had it videoed the whole time. So that'll be exciting when we're able to see the full video too. As far as the open house, the open museum day went as well. We had a couple of visitors too. I think it was around 20 in total with the two museums.
I think so.
And again, great enthusiasm. I know I personally spent around 45 minutes talking with one of the guests, just going through ASTI, all the different objects there. Any other kind of notes or comments on the Open Museum Day and Historic Walk?
I think one of the things I was really gratified with was the number of young kids, like from 8 to 12 kind of range, who stuck it out somehow, but they kept finding things that they were looking on the ground and finding things to. What's this? You know, and Paul was even one of our participants, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was very meaningful, and I was surprised at how many people were there, and that's great.
Yeah.
He's at least 20, and we've had a couple in the 30s, so this was a good one, really.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting such good publicity from the communication department
Mhm.
right now, so it's really helping a lot. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Now, while we're on that subject, is there, maybe it's in here, have we gotten any more information on when they might be putting signs and stuff up in that?
We haven't.
Well,
this-
it's trail first, and then signs would be something we probably need to contract and need to talk about for the budget talks in June.
Okay.
And it would be a future year thing. I don't know where Leslie is with the actual trail part this year.
I'll double check with her.
Those are on hold for right now, and apparently so is the repair of the fence around the fan house too, because it's at the bottom of their priority list, so regardless of the years that have gone by since the fire, it still needs to be replaced.
Yeah, that piece of the fan house needs to be stabilized a little bit so that doesn't completely fall over.
Monday night, I was introduced to Elizabeth Rios Brooks. And she's Boulder County Open Space. And Larry, did she take Carol Beam's place, or do you know?
I think she did, I'm not.
That was the
100% sure.
impression I had, so she gave me her card, because I said we needed to talk to her about some of the signage, and she said she would be willing to talk to us and is anxious to talk to us.
So Scott's been in contact with somebody from county about the signage.
That was a couple of years ago, and Carol was still there. Yeah, Carol Beam was an architectural historian. This person who replaced her is a planner, not a historian.
All right. I think that concludes everything there as far as the May 2nd and 9th work sessions. Those I thought were really productive. Unfortunately, on the May 2nd one, we moved everything into the parlor space and then had to move a lot of that back, but made good progress there. And then the May 9th work session, great to be able to catalog and package a lot of different items too, in ASTI.
Yeah, Catherine worked with me on May 2nd. We finished Jim Vanette's 100-some items. So we finally got that finished and she was a big help on that.
I thought those were real productive days, got a lot done. Set the stage for the redo, I guess. Yeah.
And as the next item then is the ANFRAM meeting.
I have Heritage Round.
Yeah, round table.
Oh, yeah, roundtable.
I'll just pass this around. This is what the formal name of the event is, the Archaeology and Historic Preservation Month Awards Ceremony. I'll just pass this around. You can see what goes on there. And you folks kindly approved that Waligorskis and the Dorsey would take sandwiches for the reception part of that. And we got a nice thank you on that for providing the those Jersey Mike sandwiches. So it was a very good event. In general, went nicely. But one person talks too much, that seems to always happen. Anyway, the so-called square nails were awarded to Miss Long of the Long's Gardens and Fran Sheets for her work on the historic preservation in her residential district in Boulder.
Yeah, they have a slideshow as part of that every year where they show the various historic places in Boulder County and what they're doing with the preservation. And I think that's outstanding every year. Those slides are very, very interesting.
I would recommend any of us can attend. It's just again, the round table is just a very cooperative group. It is not a chief executive or anything like that. It's just people get together, like history, and take care of business. So you can see too, there's also all the books related to Boulder area history that came out in 2024 are featured there. But yeah, I'd like to endorse what Karen said. The visual production was really good this year, especially.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and then last item on the debriefing is the town veteran group meeting.
Well, we ran into a snafu in this last meeting. Number one, there was only one person showed up. And number two, the person that was supposed to be there, somebody asked me the next morning, wasn't there a meeting last night? And I said, whoops. And so I didn't attend it either. And that was an accident. But I think, didn't we, the last meeting say that we had the approval for the 4th of July parade in Superior, that we could allow the some veterans to ride in the back of that?
Yeah, Michaela thought that could definitely be
Okay.
workable, and then you were gonna just see if the vets were good with meeting at,
Louisville. Oh,
or meeting, at parade
Oh,
locations to
right.
get in and get out and have it so that it worked logistically on their end.
yeah. And then the next one we were gonna address, and I think you were gonna work on that, getting approval to do it over in Louisville on Labor Day.
Yeah, if that's something
If
you
that's-
wanna look into, but we might need to look, see who would drive and, I don't know.
Yeah. And then there was another thing, and we were talking about it, that if we were gonna do this, to have a banner that said Superior Historical Commission on the side of the truck and Superior Vets.
I think that would be important.
So if that's still a go, then this next meeting I will not mess up.
Yeah, the
And
next one is Memorial Day.
Yep.
Late afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed it from Sunday to Monday for May.
Okay.
So I will bring it up then and make sure that, well, I don't know how much time, if we're gonna do, the banners, how much lead time you have to have in order to get them. So I have to be a little.
Not long, fast science is fast.
Oh, okay. So I will then bring that up, and if they're really interested in doing what they said they are, then, we can try and get that done and,
Perfect.
Can I just throw a thought out there?
sure.
Since this is a group that probably will continue to meet, it could be that at July 4th or other occasions, if they're gathered, if we get a banner, whether the fire truck happens or not, I don't think it would hurt to just get it. I'm sure it would be used for something.
Maybe they should have a booth at the
I mean,
4th
yeah,
of July.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there's all kinds of options. I could just go ahead and get it. It's really not that expensive.
Okay.
Well, normally I drive it to Louisville and Matt Rarick drives it from July 4th. It probably needs to be started and run a little bit, make sure that it's startable.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since it's been around.
Yeah, I went over once in the wintertime and started it, but,
Oh, and another thing on, as long as we're on the fire truck, that's siren. Now, when Larry and I were going over to Louisville and we're driving down the street, it would work.
Right.
And once we got into parade, it won't work. So the only thing I can think of is that generator is not putting out enough voltage. I had low speeds at idle, so to speak, running into parade that it can power the siren. So I guess if
turn
we
up the
want-
RPM and it comes on.
Yep. So I guess if that's something we really want to do, so we can use it in parades, we possibly need to have somebody figure out what is it that, without totally replacing the whole system, what do we need to do in order to get that to work at all times?
I'll talk to Matt.
Yeah. talk to them.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, I really think that's what the issue is.
That'll be good to address before the 4th. I think then we can move on to discussion items. The first item there is collection management. So Catherine in the catalog status and Superior Historical Commission lead. Any major updates there?
You already gave the Catherine update,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, I did that.
you and I had a brief email conversation. I don't know if you wanna.
No, I was just curious about the status of the cataloged software. So I know we've discussed it in the past and it was like trying to jog my memory as to what went on with it. And I went to their website and did some poking around. It does look like a really interesting thing. You know, it's not cheap, you know, for a town our size. So I didn't know what was happening with that. But I definitely like to assist with that project going forward if we do move ahead with that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when we're ready to start, and I'll just get the membership going and get it going. It would not be a cost to historic though.
Oh, really?
No, because I think that would be more appropriate for arts and history to take over. Because I think we'll eventually use it for caps as well, because we've got two major collections.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think when we're ready, we could do it, and I, you know, Catherine was interested in. You know, uploading information, but you had shown some interest in it as well, and
Yeah.
of course I got excited, because I thought that would be great. If someone on the commission was involved in its progress.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is it can be utilized on desktop or via app on your phone.
Right.
And with the membership, I think we can have 8 users.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think if, you know, once we're ready, it could literally be a conversation between me, you, Catherine, and Karen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Jill.
as I update our list, I send a copy to Susan and Jill. And on the 9th of May, I was able to locate all of the donation sheets. They've been floating around in various locations.
We found.
I
two.
now have all the donation sheets I need.
We found two after you left.
Oh, you
So,
did? Oh, okay,
all but two.
okay. Okay, anyway, the most recent ones are just from 2025. I think we're finally finished with 2024. So, and they're pretty easy to enter, because there's not a long list like we have had in the past. Okay,
Well, and I wasn't that familiar with the program that I guess was used in the past, Past Perfect or something like that, but I did some poking around, like I said, on the catalog site, and they have some very interesting little free videos to show you how some of the basic functions work and what it can do, and it's really cool and it's really powerful. And you know, no offense to your spreadsheet is perfect for what we've been trying to do, but it's kind of like the typewriter versus sort of like the supercomputer almost. It's, in some ways, it could almost be overwhelming, so maybe we should, I don't know, a few of us, and maybe Jill and I and Karen can kind of take the lead on just looking at it more closely and figuring out, you know, what do we really need to do with it that's not gonna like break our brains, because it just has so much capacity for I don't know if anybody here knows what an ontology is, but kind of like ways of categorizing things, like how do you create these different lanes or different categories for certain things, and Lord knows we might not even have enough stuff to.
That's what I was gonna jump,
Yeah,
so I think, you know, both with Past Perfect and Catalog It, they are really there for the gamut,
Yeah,
like
they are.
big box museums, like
Yeah.
massive, huge museums to the smallest. And
Right,
it really just comes down to just utilizing the tools that you want
that you want, yeah,
and not going. The other beauty about Catalog It is they have, it's a free trial for up to 50 entries. And then once you get to 50, then it's sort of just your trial period. If you wanna go, then you actually submit payment to continue adding above those 50 entries. So
Yeah.
you can actually do a trial if you'd like, and we can get that set
Yeah.
up.
yeah. Well, and I don't think it should just be me, I think other people should be involved, like Jill and Karen,
Oh, for
whoever
sure.
else wants to take a closer look under the hood at that thing, because there's a lot we could do with it, and maybe in, you know, future commissions might be really grateful that we put more into it, you know what I'm saying? Versus, obviously, you guys have been working so hard to get everything correctly accessioned and, noted and all that stuff, but it's like there's so many different data points that it can handle and compute with for you, if that makes any sense. And also the fact that you can take pictures of everything is pretty awesome, and have all those pictures
Then just
right in your
upload it
entry,
right from
yeah.
your phone.
Which is something that, you know, depending on how many items we're up to, I lost count looking at your last spreadsheet, Karen, but how many items we're up to, feel like it was worthwhile to go back and take pictures of everything, or,
I think that's really what I was hoping Catherine would be the biggest help
Right.
for.
yeah,
Once everything's up and running, she could literally just go over on her own
yeah,
and take pictures and be uploading them from her phone
right,
into the system. And I think that'll get us really far. You know, and remember, I did buy a little miniature photo booth for smaller objects. It's like a bubble, a lighting bubble that makes it look really good. And then like bigger objects can be just photographed as is
Yeah.
in place in the museum in exhibit.
yeah,
But smaller objects, you know, she could set it up and then put a little object in, take a photo, you know, that too would move pretty quickly.
yeah. Okay,
Just a little aside, on the recommendation of the ANFRAM meeting, I did buy for us all this managing previously unmanaged collections. For the-
that would be yes.
I think the first chapter says something about the mess you're now going into or something.
Right.
Well, and that's the part is, you know, collection management is a massive job. huge job. It really is a lot more than people really know or understand.
Well, if we're going to go into photo documentation, I suggest we use a photo scale with everything.
Mhm.
It's good practice to photograph
Sure.
everything with the scale.
I will order that. And you know, there actually might be one in that photo booth
That's
bubble,
what I was
but we might
thinking.
need to get something else for the mid and large
Right.
size. I think some things are obvious if it's a table, but if it's like, you know, something that is too big for the little photo booth, but if you put it on a table, it might be hard to discern its scale. I think I
Right.
agree.
And since we're a museum, but we have historical collections, it's best to have a scale of both metric and English, SAE, standard American English.
So, I think what we have to be careful of and figure out how to navigate is, working group versus subcommittee and how many people are on them and how many people are meeting at any given time, so that we're not breaking the meeting rule. So it could be that we kind of take the collection subcommittee and maybe break it into two or something, so that one is more about like the catalog it side of it versus the collection management and
Yeah.
intake side or something.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
don't think we need to do that right here, right now, but I do think that's something that we need to be aware of. And, you know, cause I think breaking out into two teams could be helpful. I know that right now during the work sessions, you're doing important work. And I think when the time arises that we can sort of break it up into intake versus management.
yes.
I don't
Might be
generally
good.
have more than just myself and one other person,
Yeah,
so that's not a problem.
yeah, but knowing that it's sort of almost half of the group sort of working on collection management or intake, that's fine during work sessions, but I think work outside of that, we will have to make sure that we have designated subcommittee teams.
That makes a ton of sense to me.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other?
Next step would be,
I think you and I could probably work on getting catalog it going and then we could figure out who wants to be involved in that.
yeah, and how to link in the spreadsheet, yes, the ongoing tool.
Yeah, and then Catherine can kind of float between.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Great. So the next item is related to QR codes and a partnership with CAPS. So I had a meeting with Andrew, the head chair of CAPS, which went well a little while back with JG. We've exchanged a couple of emails, and I know CAPS had a meeting to discuss the QR codes. There were a couple of different designs that they had reviewed and looked at as far as utilizing QR codes for some of our historic artifacts. We had some different ideas on, we could have a QR code at the entrance of Asti Park that you could scan and then get a history of Asti online. Or if we wanted to get more granular and have them at different artifacts in, let's say, Grasso Park, each could have their own QR code if we wanted to. So that's kind of up to our decision-making, how granular we want to have these. I told Andrew, as far as kind of a design perspective goes, maybe CAPS can handle that and think of the actual design, because there's a lot of different elements that you can use when it comes to a QR code. If it's going to be bronze, if it's going to be steel, if it's going to be a little sticker or something that we can place on or near one of the signs that we have, because we have a number of different signs, and a lot of the signs are in very good condition. So I don't think we want to overhaul the sign just to place a QR code in it, if there's ways to avoid that. But I think it's kind of up to us on potentially identifying which areas we might want to see a QR code, and then what kind of the implementation of that would look like moving forward.
Mostly,
Oh, the only thing I was gonna add to that was that CAPS is thinking about just doing a test with a pair, like maybe 10 of the public art pieces to honor them. And so they were thinking, you know, like that's what they're thinking, is just a small test run. And then on this side, you guys could do something similar. I don't know, Scott.
Well, I was gonna say mostly we will want to use a sticker or something similar because QR codes, like any other link, occasionally need to be updated or changed. And it's also a good system to monitor traffic, though. We can get web hit counts and things like that from QR codes, like any other visitation traffic.
I think the other thing that we talked about is if and when we're ready to kind of launch, we would definitely work very, very closely with comms to help create the QR codes, manage them, make sure that they're always working and, you know, and it could be that if there are broken links or something's changed, that instead of having to go out and change the QR code, it's something they can do on the other side.
Yeah.
So that it's always in working order, but, kind of like the idea of maybe launching in Grasso with each structure as a possibility. But I don't know, you had some other ideas too, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought as far as a test goes, CAPS is looking at 10. I thought we could maybe look at 5. And I thought one of the ideas could be we do kind of the larger approach. So maybe we just have one about Grasso Park writ large as an area in the history there. And then similarly with Asti Park, kind of the history of Asti Park. Or we could focus on one of the parks, such as Grasso. I think there's more kind of items that we could put different placards with and have details about that. And I do personally, I think it'd be easier to actually maintain on a individual level, because then you could just have one page dedicated to, let's say, like the root cellar, and just here's what this is. So then if someone is walking along like a new trail by Grasso Park, they can actually see what that is and then scan these in that area, because I am anticipating now we will have some more foot traffic in that area.
And I apologize, I don't have a photo, but I think Lafayette has have created these signs where they're metal. And it's sort of like this, like imagine this portion in the ground and then it has a slanted, and then they just get an inexpensive sort of aluminum sign that they just put on top of it. So if they ever have to change it out, it sort of peels off. You can put it back on. It can also be dug up and moved, but they're pretty heavy duty. So, and if they're up close, I don't see that they would interfere with landscaping maintenance or anything like that. And it's literally something that can just be pressed pretty deeply into the ground, and then it has that base. So it could say root cellar and then just have a QR code, or, like pretty straightforward.
I would also like to get them logoed, so that they have a design element and say that they're from.
That's what I thought too, because I mean, you
you
can play around with what's in the QR code itself.
Yeah. You can?
Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't, but you can. Yeah, there's options
I
out there.
can't figure it out, start.
We'll put a portrait of Larry in the middle.
Oh, I like that, yeah.
Oh, good target for the dartboard, huh?
Oh.
You better hang it in the thundershade.
I do like the idea as far as the design element, because I think it'd be good if we could potentially with branding opportunities, but then we could also differentiate them from CAPS in a slightly different way. So it's like, we'd still all probably use, I liked the Lafayette design a lot. I thought that made the most sense for swapping out QR codes, but then it's also sturdy. It's not just like a sticker that can be damaged very easily. But as far as the QR code design itself, if CAPS wanted to do CAPS maybe in the center or something, and then we could do historic, I thought that could be nice.
Or even do just our plain round logo. in the
Yeah,
center,
and
and then
logo.
Say historical commission or CAPS at the bottom, or whatever works best.
Yeah.
And again, this would be kind of an arts and history budget item with that collaboration between CAPS and historic. You know, for the sole purpose of identifying collection pieces on historic sites.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
Can we jump to Asti Trifold just if she
Sure,
has a
yeah.
comment?
I guess
I think that
We gotta
is,
leave in
yeah.
5 minutes.
Yep, I think that's next. The ASCII trifold, we have a couple of these printed out now. We have some examples here. As far as kind of next steps go, just want to see, do we want any more printed? I think we had 10 printed out. I was kind of the mindset, if we like the design, we can keep it and then get a couple of them laminated and just have them at ASCII and.
Yes. I wonder if we could present it to the town council when we have our dinner. My thought was we would show them what the laminate copy looks like versus the personal paper copy. If we had QR codes, we could demonstrate how that works, but we're not there yet. I thought we could get some feedback from council on whether they like the trifold or want to change aspects of it.
They don't usually oversee those kinds of documents.
Okay.
Usually what?
They don't oversee these kind of documents.
Yeah, no, what Jason's telling me to say, we don't care what they think.
But I'd be fine if we wanted to add a QR code. I'm sure we could figure out a place to.
Oh.
We could, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of
Oh, I
space.
see. Well, do we have a laminate copy at the museum or in Children?
We,
Not yet.
that's
Not yet.
easily done.
We got the laminator.
Well,
Also, we can.
I thought we should try to get feedback from people, from the visitors, what they prefer, what more they would want to know. Then there is the reprint package I distributed to everyone. I was wondering if comms could do it in a sort of 4-page newsletter. Do they have the capability of doing 17 inch by 11-inch JG, and then you can fold? Because we basically have 4 pages there in the trifold supplement. So we tell them more about Ted Aston and show some 20th century history.
Do we have the supplement available? Is there another, is there a
I
supplement?
think we need to see it first, and it's me who does it, not comms.
Okay.
I just run things by them if they need to see it, if it's something that's going out
And
broadly, but this is internal to the museum, so.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity to teach 20th century history. The Historical Commission needs to broaden its scope. We're doing that with the indigenous people and their programs. To show the times Ted Asty knew is very educational. People like to know it from the personal point of view.
I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, well, anyway,
Does she want to say anything about La Superior?
do you?
Yes, I would like to propose 2 things about the publication. First, that the commission do a complete review of content. I know there are other misrepresentations about the Hague property in it, not just where the Higgs came from. Larry put that into the revision in 2023, but there are other areas. I can speak for the Higgs, but I don't know what other families might have input. Do you know other families involved there?
I guess not. I can't think of
No.
other families involved.
Yeah, and I did send.
Yeah, then the second aspect is I'd like to consider e-publishing. We should think of that. We need both the hard copy and an e-book. There are platforms out there that will do both. They'll publish you as an ebook and also do what they call print on demand. It's a package, but of course cost is a factor. I'm researching what platforms are now available.
I think we have roughly 100 books. I don't have a final count because the garage here was completely packed, but everything got moved over to civic space, so it's finally clear enough for me to actually finish my inventory.
Oh, we have 100 books.
About-
Is that what the
Maybe more.
inventory?
About,
told us?
Which books?
Lost Superior.
Well, that'll last us a while then. Perhaps this could be a budget item for 2026.
That's a great idea.
Do we as the commission need to approve it first?
No.
Not. Nay.
So I sent Maureen, the printer, the digital version of the book. So I think it's great.
Well, I wondered if we needed to present this to town council at the dinner next month.
Maybe as a,
If we had a proposal,
we
could
don't
do
have a
it both
proposal.
ways, e-book and hard copy.
It could be a potential budget request at the dinner and really nothing more. It's pretty straightforward. If it's just a revision and a reprint, with kind of a high level
Mhm.
ballpark cost. They're just looking for just bucket, like.
Yeah.
General, we do not have time to go into huge detail with that. But I think if we have an approximate cost for what a reprint, and we have the history of that, so it's nothing she would need to do
Okay.
quite yet.
Well, I would say that both of those things, if we're looking at updating both or either of the books in more detail, that's an entire initiative in itself.
Mhm.
So we have to look at as a project with someone to champion. If it's a matter of looking for more errata and putting in errata, that's pretty easy. And then the other matter, I also agree, it'd be nice to expand our historic programming and education. Also, an entire initiative on itself, on a project we want to probably look in and manage and maybe need a subcommittee for to
Absolutely.
help run it as we expand it, and it might overlap well with our second grade and other school outreach, so.
Right, and so I think having a more conversation with Maureen, I think she's interested in it, but I don't think she should be doing it completely on her own. But I think the fact that she's interested in kind of reviewing to see where updates might need to happen and then bringing that back to the group and then kind of figuring out what the work would really entail. And then getting that subcommittee put together,
Well,
is that maybe
Yeah, but
possible?
yeah, that's basically what I was talking about, but the e-publishing and cost she was looking into,
Oh,
I think is worth looking into now, because that is about just republishing. And it'd be good to know that, rather than,
anything else for Maureen before she heads out?
What?
Any else?
Oh, just that we really should get an ebook presence with us, Superior. That's where people look for, yeah.
Uh, oh, agree.
Well, thank you, everybody. Sorry I must leave early. Have a
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. So thanks.
I'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch with you about all this.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. But any other details with the trifold reprints, loss of here update? I think we've probably covered everything there.
I will just use this as an tag that, the full history books are reprinted and, she's gonna give them to me
Oh, good.
next week. So we'll have some fresh, full history books. I didn't think Aspen how many.
Did we talk about the article reprint in the back, I asked you,
Oh.
that's on the agenda?
Oh,
I think she needs to send it out. I don't think she has.
Okay, that helps.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No, I haven't seen it either.
So that's not be hers too, huh?
Yeah, so agenda items, for the council dinner meeting, next month.
Yeah, so I think I can do a lot of this via email.
Yeah.
We just really need to start thinking about, you know, how fast that hour goes.
Yeah,
And and I think when I get to staff update, how about if I talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
In just a little bit, let you
Perfect.
proceed with your agenda.
is that June 16th?
It is, I'll look at.
I believe so.
Seems that seems sounds right.
It's coming up.
Can we
Okay.
quickly address some potential short lists of the budget, requests we might have, which again is, as, Wally brought up, we might want to revisit the sign concept or the interpreter trail. It'd be nice to know where that trail status is at. We have the, two nominations now on the list, one potential, National Register nomination for the industrial mine site and one potential nomination for the, Grasso home site. And then we also have the consideration of, preservation plan of some type for the Grasso, homestead and park.
So again, with any kind of budget request, they need a number. So we would need to get something.
Well, right now, it's more of a matter of when do budget requests actually need to happen by, and basically getting a heads up.
They're starting in the summer to start working on 2026 budget. So with these dinners, that's why they're asking for kind of high level buckets, like a bucket for preservation, this, you know what I mean? And it would be approximately this.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, so I think this is great. When I put an email out, if we can start kind of just creating our bullet list. And it might be that is the majority of your conversation is
Yeah.
just budget.
Sometimes they concentrate us on one or
They
two
know that
items.
your programming otherwise is pretty consistent, and I don't think that needs to be as much of a focus, but I think historic has a handful of budget items that.
And some of it needs to be decided, is this 2026 or is it 2027?
Agreed.
And, what do we have opportunities to seek grants for? You know,
Okay,
which a lot of them will require matching anyway.
sounds good. And then again, I'll talk about one more item on my staff update.
Oh, great. The next item then is assistance with OSAC on trail naming project. So OSAC reached out actually, and they're looking at renaming or naming some identified trails. And they were interested in historic names, specifically indigenous historic names.
Good.
Which I think about time, it would be fantastic to do this. I said, yes, we'd be very interested. Basically, it seemed like what they wanted is potentially for us to come up with some potential names of historic, indigenous, trailhead names, and then give that to them, see which ones they're interested in.
Is this for only Coyote Ridge or?
I believe so, yeah.
Now, are they thinking of something called Cheyenne Trail, or are they thinking of taking some indigenous language?
It would
suggest using
be-
Arapaho.
Yeah, it'd
Well, I
be,
was just pulling, or do they want something like, and I don't know any Cheyenne, I don't know any Arapaho. Something in their language and calling it.
I think
that.
we'd lean towards in their language.
Yeah, I think
As
that's
opposed
cool.
to just Cheyenne
Yeah,
Trail
yeah,
or Ute
super.
Trail or Arapaho Trail.
Yeah,
Uh,
wonderful.
And I
Nice
think
to hear.
as far as kind of next steps go, I'm fine with coming up with kind of a list of different names, and then we could run this by us potentially for our next meeting. And OSAC can also get this list and discuss it at their meeting.
Yeah, so, the University of Colorado Boulder had a good Arapaho language project, and you can
Okay.
find some, a list of Arapaho terms and, common alphabetic spellings for them, appropriate alphabetic spellings.
Good.
Can I ask, where is Coyote Ridge? Where is that designated area?
That's over this
Is that
way.
the Mayhoffer? Those?
No, it's this way.
Up on Highway
Just
128.
For the sake of time, is it possible, Dalton, would you mind being a point of contact?
Yeah.
And or maybe if Scott, I don't know if you'd like to be involved, and just figure out what their time, how quickly are they wanting
Yeah.
to move on this? And would it behoove us to sort of work to create a working group and work with them outside of our monthly meetings? Or if we have time, and this can be an agenda item next month for further discussion with the whole group. I have no idea how fast they're wanting to go.
It would be kind of nice to, consider, the Arapahoes are easy to find, but if we can find Ute and,
Yeah,
Cheyenne and maybe Comanche or Kiowas.
I can reach out to CAPS, kind of get an assessment of the timetable, and then Scott, if you're interested, I can keep in the loop
Sure,
with
yeah.
any sort of names.
OSAC.
OSAC. We've been talking a lot about CAPS. Yeah, OSAC.
So I think I'm hearing that potentially you two might form a working group if their need is really immediate.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Actually, maybe we could turn Jade loose on this since it's a Native
Well,
American
that's,
topic.
I was thinking about that, so this
Perfect.
kind of ties in with the last couple of items,
Great.
as far as Jade goes. I was thinking Jade could be involved with this, potentially we could have her work on this as well. I
Be a
thought,
good first task to get her.
yeah,
done.
she could do some research too on this project, and I thought as far as kind of right relations Boulder, maybe she'd be interested in potentially, if not leading conversations with, this and with right relations, at least being involved there
Yeah.
and learning about the process of actually organizing a fall program.
Yes.
Cause she got back to me with her schedule. She will have more availability in the next couple of months. I know it'd be great if she can come to obviously our open houses on Saturdays. Then we can, if interested, have her come in during our work group meetings as well, and help with any sort of packaging, storaging, cataloging potentially there too. But then because she's expressed an interest in all things Arapaho and Ute, it'd be good to have her involved, I think, with the fall program, and potentially this naming opportunity would be a great first project.
it's great. So any work assigned yet, or?
There hasn't been any work assigned. I wanted to see if there's any other sort of input or feedback here before getting back in contact with her.
I think we need to task her with something and just looking into, some, travel lexicon to use and we can start assembling that and what might be appropriate, not appropriate, et cetera.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Scott, get something going, just so we
Yep.
don't potentially lose our.
And that would be an easy one, and then I agree also, I think it would be good to involve her if we're doing indigenous programming in the fall with that. And then I can also still put together the research and investigation list for
Okay,
more of the interpretive, materials or et cetera we want to look into.
Great.
Look into, so basically a lot of research.
Yeah.
Investigation.
perfect. Well, I can follow up with her. I can CC you on this email too, just about kind of next steps.
Now I have a question here though. Nancy was thinking about maybe trying to do some volunteer work. If you're interested in that and that would fit into what you guys are doing, then perhaps that would be another source to help out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're,
Well, the whole Native American, experience, interest, and in fact, that's why I left the room to talk to.
oh, perfect.
Well, yeah, it's, I like to get involved with their group, so too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you
Thank
could-
Wally.
Yeah, if you could send, just so we have it, your email too, if you could send that, that'd be great. So then we can stay in touch and contact there.
Do I just send it to Historic Milwaukee?
Or just give it, maybe just give it.
I can just write it, yeah,
Yeah, if you just want to write it down, then I can have it. Okay,
and I have to leave, so I will.
Oh, yeah.
Write it,
Here you go.
Just write it on the 20 and we'll hang on to it forever.
wait a minute.
Just give me going.
All right, just again, for the sake of time,
Mhm.
Larry, do you wanna address the diorama?
Sorry. Oh, yes, I can do that. No progress.
That's good.
all right,
Next item.
nice and quick. Okay, and then upcoming events, June sixth, open museums. I'm fine being there in the morning. Anyone gonna be out of town or any sort of additional details there?
I think I'll be back in town.
That's D-Day, huh?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, I'm available.
As far as I know.
Trail naming
Okay.
or.
I'll remember, I have it in my notes.
Pardon?
Whatever you're in.
June 3rd, 13th, work session. I'll be here so I can assist with that. Any other updates or details needed there?
Should be there.
Yeah.
Oh, you skipped over the AmTram. I put on,
Oh, yeah,
June 12th, and that was a guess. If I put June 12th on, that's incorrect, but that's not a Monday. They usually are a Monday
okay.
in June. Have you received anything, Mary?
Haven't had, they said we'd get more, but we haven't yet, so.
We haven't had any information on that. So June 12th is incorrect, I think, was it the third, it was second, second?
Mondays, second or third, I can't,
I'm
sure.
I just put.
Oh, perfect.
I think they sort of had to change it from
So
eight.
that means it'll be the 9th, or 9th is the second. There should be a meeting in June, and we'll
Okay,
attend it if we get any information.
perfect. Work session, we touched on that. June 16th, council dinner, JG, any sort of additional details there?
No, I think, hey, guys,
I'm sorry.
so like the dinner starts. I need to double check before I say anything. I'm gonna double check as far as what time the dinner starts. I believe it starts at 6,
Yeah.
but I think it's.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it would be good if you could arrive at 5:30.
Okay,
Just to get your food plated and sat down and settled.
Mhm.
It just kind of helps if you get there just a little bit early is all. Yeah. And as you know, it just moves fast, so, yeah, it's always best to get there a little early.
and then via email, should we potentially have some budget items?
Yeah, so I'm gonna launch an email to you, I think, Scott was gonna put a few things together, just, and I have a feeling Maureen is gonna mention a book reprint. And then, of course, the item that I wanna talk to you about in staff.
Okay. So then the next item, July 4th booth and fire truck. I'll be able to be there, help with that.
Okay.
We should,
Do we have our signs to protect the fire truck that we talked about last year?
Yeah,
They're all
and-
scrambled, so
entrance,
we keep
exit.
it organized.
Yep, we do.
Yep,
Entrance, exit, and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I'll be around, I believe that weekend too, will be back.
okay.
Okay, good.
Was there a problem last time?
Yeah,
It's fine.
Just stop my kids popping all over.
Yeah.
Really kind of overwhelmed by a flood. Wally and I try to control the kids getting in, but then
But then they
they're
jump
coming in
out
from
the
the driver's
side.
side, they're coming in from the passenger side, and they start poking and pushing and,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna try to make it come in on direct traffic, so they come in on the driver's
Keep it
side.
forward.
until we have a sign so they can't get up in the back.
That's gonna be up to you, but I'm also gonna ask for at least one volunteer from Michaela. Because remember, you guys were all
Yes.
saying that it was hard to be at the
Yeah.
truck and the booth,
Yeah,
Right,
and then all of the.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
we kind of rotated around.
Yeah.
okay,
okay.
so I'll make that a big priority.
What do we want? Do we wanna let the kids in the back, or do we wanna have a bungee cord across the back and say, please stay?
I think it's appropriate if they're managed by parents, to let them sit and the parents take pictures.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm fine with
I was
that.
just gonna say,
You mean in the
sometimes
cab?
the parents are.
No,
The jumping of the off.
Yeah, okay, no, what I meant was for photo purposes only, really. It's like,
Maybe you can sit on the back, on the bed of it.
right, rather
Not-
not on the seats, just sit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can sit here, but then we need you out, and so,
Yeah.
photos only, for photos only.
That's how I did on the driver's seat, too,
Yeah.
take a picture.
Right,
Move on, but they don't.
exactly, yeah.
That's a good idea. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
What you got on the Memorial Day?
Yeah, and then,
Is there anything
That's
else?
a busy weekend, cause the 4th is Friday and the Saturday we're open, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
Well, yeah. That seems, I guess, appropriate. I mean, we got a pretty good turnout, on that 4th of July weekend, because people are available, right? So
Yeah,
it's probably a good practice.
I don't know if Karen's mentioned this while I was out, but on Memorial Day weekend, there's a possibility we're gonna be busy.
okay,
Is that when Brian's coming down?
Yes,
So our son from Casper, I think, is coming down that weekend.
but
I
that's
don't
the
think we
weekend before.
Yeah.
Memorial Day is the 26th or something really
Yeah, it's pretty
early
early.
yeah,
this year.
I don't think we have any conflicts
Yeah,
with Memorial Day weekend.
wait, is it Memorial Day, the 26th?
yeah,
Yes,
That's the same weekend we're talking about.
yeah, so it's,
we're not over.
I don't think
But
we
the
have any
museum's not
conflicts.
open.
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
That's what Wally was saying, is
Oh.
wondering.
No, okay.
Okay,
I was,
Staff
so I
update.
have two things, before I get into the statue, I have a question, well, I had information came after the agenda went out. David, the handyman who's working on the shelves above the sink and would be lowering the sink, he's almost done. I gave him the paint information so he can paint the shelves to match the walls. He and I are meeting next Friday. And I'm getting a parks person to help get the sink off the wall so he can take the base home. So the sink is gonna be down. And only for a couple of days, okay, so I hope that's okay. If it's not, I can reschedule. Okay, so let me know that.
that's fine.
The question I have is there are 2 holes, as you all know, we only have 1 faucet. We have 2 options. We can put this on and just leave the hole for the other, or I can get 2 matching faucets.
The, the actual mine camp house had only running cold water, And hardware stores have a cap that goes over the.
Is that what you prefer?
That's what I would prefer.
Because it represents the only cold water.
Yeah. And
So
the
I just
cap
need to
cover the
get-
hole and, you don't need, yeah, and it just, I think it just flips it.
I just need a something on the back so he can screw it on.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make absolute, I know we've talked about this, I just wanted to make.
That's me, I don't
absolute
know.
sure.
That's you.
Cause
That's
when
fine
it's
with me.
down, that's when it goes on and then it gets installed back up and I just want to triple check. Okay,
Yep, I think that's the way to do it.
okay, so, I've talked to 3 bronze studios. And they're, 2 of them are right almost exactly in the ballpark figure that I had thought. Which is in the $70,000 to $80,000 range for a life-size bronze statue of a miner for the memorial. And the good thing about it is we already have $35,000 that was approved by council last year so it's in the 2025 budget. So if we wanted to get going on it, we could. Cause we have 50% down right now about. The only scary part is we don't have approval for the other half in 2026. So I personally feel like before we do anything, we should have that dinner and have that budget request and have them understand what we're up against, that we've got half of the money this year. And the other half would definitely need to come next year in order for this to happen.
The board?
Absolutely, yeah, cause it would be terrible if we put 50% down this year, didn't get approved for next, and then sit and have to wait until like potentially 2027 or something, so. So one studio that I talked to is based out of New York. One is here, that I spoke with. And I kind of liked that conversation I had because one of the first things out of his mouth is he said, could you get me some photos of one of the miners that passed so that we can make it in their likeness? And I was like, oh, yeah, I got a little teary. Whereas the studio in New York, that didn't even come up.
Wow.
So I just sort of felt like, wow, that was a very caring question to ask.
Right.
And I thought with some of the descendants of those miners, that might be a really wonderful thing to reach out. Get some of the families involved. That particular one was a little higher than the one out of New York. But I just felt
There'd be less shipping costs, though.
there would be less shipping costs and, it seemed like this artist wanted to be more hands-on.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
So I don't know, that's the direction I can continue to get award, believe it or not, there's a handful of bronze studios in
Loveland?
Loveland,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did reach out to the Lundins, which is one of the most famous bronze studios in Colorado, internationally known, it's an entire family operation. And, the price was so astronomical, I won't even.
And how long is their backlog too?
But I thought I just wanted to ask, because it's the Lundins.
It might be nice to have document the development of the statue and the artist process and all that too, so we have that as part of our.
That's a great point, I'm glad
Yeah.
you reminded me of that, because basically the artist would wanna meet with you. And would present a maquette, a small scale version of it first, and kind of get your approval before moving forward. And then they would build a life-size wax model, make the mold, all of that. It's a long process, so even if we started now, we would absolutely be looking at next summer or fall for it to be installed. It can be a 12 to 18 month process, just because of how long it takes to make the life-size cast,
If they didn't have an actual artist do it, it wouldn't be like something that They just have a generic thing they make up.
I did ask about that. So far, none of them have them, which is surprising, but I haven't I still have a couple more studios to talk to.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of minor statues around, you know,
Yeah.
I had asked the question, if you have an existing mold of a minor, how much will that be versus if we made a custom one? So far, none of them have one, but like I said, I have 2 or 3 more studios I need to talk to.
A coal miner might have certain things that maybe a hard rock miner
Yeah, that's
Right.
Yeah.
have different, and then we would
Yeah.
want that.
definitely.
But like the miner at the memorial in Golden and around, you know, it's likely that it was a studio out of Colorado and they all saved their molds.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if there was, the possibility.
Well, that's an interesting point because the one in Golden, that incident happened in the 1890s, and so that miner is wearing all the equipment someone in the 1890s have been wearing, which could relate to us, but you wouldn't want to they wouldn't want to have a too new miner on theirs, so.
Yeah.
Isn't
Keep that in
the,
mind, I guess what we're saying.
isn't the statue over, between, Michael's and whatever it is, something,
Yeah.
Max?
Target.
Well, in there. Isn't that a named superior person that's on that, on that?
I don't know. If it is, I don't know, and I would love to know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I thought that,
I've read that plaque, but it's been a while.
oh,
The guy that made that was a Superior resident at one time.
that's what I was thinking.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I didn't
I'll,
catch all of that. Joe Campbell was the one that did, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that did the one
Yeah.
over there, Joe Campbell.
Is he,
I couldn't drive by on my way in.
I don't know if he still lives around here.
do you want me to reach out to him?
Why not?
yeah, well, I'd also suggest maybe the foundry in Loveland. Excuse me, in Loveland also might be worth a inquiry.
I did reach out, there's a couple of them.
Mhm.
And one that I did reach out to is, Bronze Services of Loveland. And they are the ones that put me in contact with,
Oh,
so they contract the artist does the work, and then they do the bronze pour. So anyway, I'll keep going, but, like I said, I have a feeling that most of them are all gonna be about in the same ballpark as far as money, and I think we could proceed with that request to council.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
yeah, that's a good idea.
folks, I'm gonna have to go to a memorial service at 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna take off, and so.
Yeah.
I think about 10th memorial in the last 12 months, so.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
I'd rather be with you folks.
Thank you, Larry.
Good job, everybody.
I'm sure we'll be wrapping up here soon. So yes, prioritize.
Stop with the cookie part.
Of course.
I think the hardest part is, it feels almost like a demand, like we've got 50% of the money and we really have to have that second half. But the only thing I would say is that we did have that same $35,000 in the 2024 budget.
Mhm.
We didn't spend it all. So minor memorial has kind of been on their mind for a handful of years, so
Yes.
my guess is that they would be supportive.
Yeah.
Just so you know, out of that money in 2024, that's what we paid for the plaques.
Mhm.
So we didn't spend the full amount last year,
We
but.
have those two $1,000 donations too.
Mhm. Yeah. So anyway, I'm hopeful that that can be part of your agenda.
Yeah, we'll definitely prioritize that.
Yeah,
That's
I
also
think
a big
we need to do that because they have to know where we're at and exactly what our timetable possibly is. So I think we need to address that too.
And like I said, the timeline of it is almost convenient in a way, because all studios would require a 50%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
payment,
Yes,
and then you don't pay the rest until it's done, and if it takes
Right.
12 to 18 months, it sort of works out in our favor.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not the budget is approved.
yes. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other additional updates? All right,
I've got an other, is that
Mhm.
what you mean?
yeah,
Oh, I think, I'm not sure if Larry already mentioned it to you, because we talked about it at our work session. We desperately need another table down in the acid work. Desperately, desperately.
What size, 6 foot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever can fold and be easy, but.
Can we take the one from upstairs and put the
That's good,
the teacher's desk in?
I mean, that's only
Yeah.
a 4 footer,
Oh,
It's not very big, yeah.
but would it work,
And it's
or do you
low.
want a 6 foot?
I think
It's
we need it.
adjustable.
Oh, okay.
I think we need a 6 foot, because the teacher's desk, we don't wanna have the typewriters on there.
I did,
Did you?
yes. Because we don't want a table, we want something
No,
better than
I know.
the table there.
Keep,
So I can get a table, and I did order another dolly that's not so monstrous.
Well, Larry also messed that dolly up by taking it out of its cart position and putting it into you know, it would have worked better in its cart position.
either one, I found it really cumbersome to walk up the road with and back last week. Cause I'm
But-
getting wimpy.
A dolly may not be what we need, I think a handled cart may work better, but I'll let Mary.
I'll work, what I got wasn't very expensive, and as soon as it comes in, I'll bring it over,
okay,
and it folds down and it's lightweight and not nearly as big.
But addressing what Scott was saying, that table that the typewriters are on isn't really very interesting for the museum. So maybe we can all keep our eyes open at the Ark or something for sort of ordinary, but. not
Well, I
plastic
think we're going to
table.
run into a space problem if we have something for the typewriters and the teacher's desk both. That's why we were talking about just having the teacher's desk.
And we're also talking about, rotating out one of the student desks, getting it downstairs.
Well, that's a possible option too, but it's still limited space.
yeah,
Anywho,
all right. Any other items?
I ordered Jill wanted the archival boxes, they're all,
Okay.
they're on order.
good.
I can't think of anything else. Just always let me know if you need anything over there at either museum.
Great. Well, I think with that, we're probably ready to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Just before we do that, Nancy was talking to me out here, she's extremely interested in joining us as volunteers, so I guess if that's acceptable with everybody, she's,
Not as a commissioner.
no,
Oh, okay,
just a volunteer.
gotcha, just wanted to make sure.
Well, she already knew that in advance. So, let's keep that in mind, and she really wants to come in and do something.
Yeah, good. Actually, among my others, and I know we're running late, was I was gonna float by the idea of me resigning. Still being, as a volunteer, I can do almost everything I can do except blab during the meeting, right? I can still help on the Saturdays, I can help process. Just like Ellen and Gail used to do. But that would give another commissioner, because in some ways, we're a little limited because one of our members is limited. And so, but therefore, if I resigned as a commissioner, let someone else come in, not necessarily this week, but soon, we'd have another pair of hands that could actually be more hands-on with a lot of what we need to do. So up to you.
We like having
I know.
meetings.
I know.
Yes.
We like.
But anyway. And that,
But it is okay for volunteers to donate time to the commission.
Mhm.
They don't have to be on the commission.
Years ago, we used to have a rule that they had to attend meetings for a year before you could even apply to be a commissioner,
Yeah.
so
What's our current commission numbers? How many? people?
Nine.
Nine.
Okay.
I don't know that we have anybody that wants to come in right now.
Well, Nancy,
Oh, she's wanting, but she's just wanting to volunteer, not be
Yeah,
on the
but-
I
commission,
think at
right?
this time, she's just wanting to volunteer, but I can't answer that totally.
Yeah.
but anyway, then there might be others. Anyway, whatever. That was on my list for today.
Okay.
Well, thank you, but hopefully you stick around for quite some time.
Well, I intend to be sticking around. You can't get rid of that. It's.
On the commission though.
Yeah, on the commission. But with that,
Yeah.
I move to adjourn.
all
Second,
right. Excellent. All those in favor of adjourning? Any opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned.